was coming out and I saw my dad and I saw one of my sisters and him going into a room, and I followed them and they had the door closed, and I knocked on that door until he opened it, and I told him, I said, if you ever, and I didn't use nice words, if you
How old were you?
I might have been between junior high to senior high. I might have been going in the 10th grade. I know something was about to happen. I told him, if he ever touches my sisters or anyone, I would kill him.
You would kill him, but leave my sister alone. You could have me. This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. Today we have a special show for you. It's not a show, it's something very painful, very deep, very really talked about by a dear lady who has accomplished so much in her life and certainly has been a blessing to me and the many other people she works with. Michaela Behtel Stuart is sharing her story of her journey and struggle with incest and depression. Michael, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Thank you for having the courage to do the show. Thank you so much for what you taught me and so many others. How did you get the courage to do this?
To talk? Mm-hmm. Well, I started talking about the traumas I've been through probably about 9 years ago.
And this just happened in your life, or were there any leads up to it, or it just happened?
I have memories, and I recall, and I remember vividly. I remember my parents used to rent an apartment from someone in the Bamboo Town, South Beach area, and at the time my mom would have had, it would have been 4 of us. My sister, who just celebrated her 50th birthday this year, would have been born. It was me and my brother and my sister, along with a new baby, and my parents. And we rented a 1-bedroom apartment from a family, and the family had 3 children. Well, not really children, because the youngest one would have been in high school, and it was a girl. And there were 2 older brothers. And I remember the first time we ever went into their house, we went into that house with my mother, and my mom was talking to their mother at the time, and I recall us looking through an album, and in the album there was a picture of a person who looked, there was a picture that looked like a picture I had of myself when I was a child. And normally when we played outside, my mom always used to be outside with us on the car porch watching us. And I don't know why she was in the house on that given day, but it might have been because she was dealing with my newborn baby sister. And so I remember one of the sons of the neighbor asked me if I wanted to go into the house to see the picture that reminded me of myself. And I would have been about 3 years old, 3 to 4 years old at the time. And I went in. not knowing what was going to happen. And the person, he touched me. He touched me. I don't know how many times it happened, but that was my first encounter with someone coming into my personal space.
And you kept that quiet?
Yeah.
Most kids do. Did he try to do it again?
Like I said, my mom really she always would have been outside with us because we would have been young at the time. Like I said, I would have been about 3 or 4. My younger sister would have been between the ages, we're like about 18 months apart, so she would have been between 1 to 2. And my brother is a year older than me, so he would have been between the ages of 4 to 5. So it was very rare that she left us outside alone.
So that touch awakened in you a sexuality? Or you weren't conscious of that?
No.
No. Okay. So that went on to 3, 4, 5, and now you're around 7. Then what happened then?
Shortly after we moved into the home that I grew up in, and I associate everything with a birth of someone, so that's how I remember my timelines. So
You associate everything with the birth of someone.
yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So when we moved into our new homes, I had 2 new sisters that came into our life. I think one might have been born in 76, and the youngest one would have been born between 77 and 78, 1978.
What was life like then? What was life like for you at that time? Were you happy, sad?
I was a child. I was happy. I was a child. I was happy.
And you were close to your mom and your father?
Yeah.
So how did things change in relationship with your dad?
It changed. I don't know. I don't remember exactly how it changed, but it changed. And it started with touches.
Front, back?
Front, back, and me touching him.
But there was no consciousness in you of what was going on?
No. Because something similar happened. So if, as a child, if something's happening and you don't know that it's right or wrong, you don't know.
That's an important point. So you say a child, when they're touched, they don't really know what's right or wrong unless they've been taught.
Yeah.
You want to stress that to the public?
I have a son, and because I know what I went through as a child and through education with going to therapy with the crisis center, I know the difference between a good touch and a bad touch. And no one should be in your personal space. No one should be touching you in any way. They shouldn't be touching you, and they shouldn't have you touching them. And your personal space is your breasts, your privates. For boys, they know what their private space is. And for girls, they know what their private space is. So no adult, female or male, should be touching a child in that type of way or kissing them in the mouth.
And you're saying parents should be responsible to educate their children?
Yeah, they
Could
should
you say
educate.
it to the public?
From that child is able to understand, parents should make their children aware of what's a good touch. When a mother is changing her child's diaper, that's a good touch if she's cleaning that child the way that she's supposed to be cleaning up, but the child wouldn't be aware of that because that child is a baby. When she's teaching that child how to go to the bathroom during that time, she should be teaching them even when she's giving them baths. Like if a grown-up or a brother or a sister that's older, even your father, is bathing you, a child should be made aware of what's a good touch, a bad touch. A mother, if it's a girl, should be teaching her from a young age how to wash herself, because a father doesn't need to wash a child, and especially a girl, not even girls, boys are sexually assaulted also. Incest has no boundaries.
Sorry?
Incest has no boundaries.
Incest has no boundaries. So how did things develop then in your home with you?
Like I said, I don't remember when it started. All I remember is the act happening. And I used to attend Our Lady's school, and Our Lady's with the Hard Decker Clinic, we had to take physicals every year. And I had, with one of my physicals, we had to present stool samples so that she can test to see if we had worms or anything. And my stool sample came back with blood in it.
So something was happening in your life up at that time.
Yeah.
What was happening?
I was receiving sex from the anus.
And you were about how old?
Like I said, it would have been associated with a sister being born, so it would have been between 75 and 78.
And your age would be?
Plus or minus, again, taking away one. My birthday is at the end of the year, so I would have been 3 to 4 and 6 to 7.
And again, when it happened the first time, you didn't know what was going on?
No.
And it started from the back?
Yeah.
And then it continued what? Weekly, monthly?
I don't remember the frequency, but it was enough that it went through until I was about 21, 22.
So sex from the back took place first, and then it went to the front.
Yeah.
And
I would have been my brother. It was before a boy. I have an older sibling that's a boy, and then there's 5 girls. And after 5 girls, there are 3 boys. So when my first brother that came, and that would have been in 1980.
That must have been painful.
It was.
And what does a child do with that pain?
Keep it to themselves.
And then the kid has to do arithmetic, reading, go to church, but keep a big secret like that in their heart. But
you don't know you're keeping something. You don't know.
So
you don't.
The child doesn't know.
You don't know what is happening to you is wrong, because the person you trust is doing it. The first time I learned what was happening to me is ZNS used to sign on at 3 o'clock. After 3 o'clock, Sesame Street used to come on first, and an education program, which was the after-school program, used to air. I don't remember which day it used to air, but it used to air shortly after Sesame Street. And they had a program, one of the shows that lasted for an hour, one of the shows they had on was where a teenager ran away from home because she was being sexually abused at home. And so that's the first time I realized that what was happening to me was wrong.
So when you heard that story, the
I
teenager
watched
running
it.
away, you watched it, and it made you realize that what was happening to you was
Yeah.
wrong. What does a child do when they have no power to stop something from happening, but they know it's wrong? What does a child do, or what did you do when you realized this is wrong?
Sometimes I used to fight. Sometimes I used to fight. Sometimes I surrender because I didn't want it happening. I didn't want it happening to my siblings, so it all depends on the circumstances.
So
But I started fighting from that point.
you fought, but then you wanted to protect your siblings? So it's like you made yourself a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
And since they'd gone so far, you then remained or kept it a secret.
Yeah.
What's it like for a child keeping a secret day in and day out? School, arithmetic?
I didn't think about
Church.
it. I didn't think about it because I had my siblings to worry about. I had chores to do. I had homework to do. So it affected me when my schooling. I had to do tutoring and stuff with schoolwork. So, yeah, but the thing is, the abuser isn't evil all the time. The abuser is your father. So sometimes it didn't happen and sometimes it did, but you still saw that person as your father. And despite what happened to me, he had good qualities about him because he was my father.
It's so hard for the child to carry the dad as a love object, but also as a hatred object.
Yeah.
So how does a child balance those two powerful negative forces? Hatred, disgust, but yet the positive force of love.
When the act is being done to me, I just remove myself from it.
Or dissociate.
Yeah.
You just let the act drift in the back of your mind and gave yourself as a helpless lamb.
Yeah, I could remove myself from the situation.
Does the child have to pay a price for that? That dissociation from the reality of them being hurt or destroyed, but at the same time repressing it so they live as if nothing's happening? Looking back now, do you feel you lost something in your heart by having to repress a very painful act happening to you?
I think I lost the right to choose how I was going to lose my virginity.
You lost the right. How you would lose your virginity.
Yeah.
Can you explain? Can you explain that?
I didn't have a choice. It was taken.
Oh. Are you saying that young ladies who are incested, then their virginity is taken from them as well?
Yeah. It starts with fondling. Fondling then moves on to other things.
There was one study, it's not clear, in the Caribbean that many women lost their virginity through force. It makes sense to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, over the past 9 years, I've been having conversations with my mom, and she said that's how she lost hers, and she lost it with my father. My father, she didn't give it to him. He took it. He raped her. So,
are you saying in our culture there's something that says when a man or father has a girl, they belong to him to do whatever he wants to do to them?
I'm not saying that. I've had, has allowed, because every time I saw a father with a daughter, I always thought, I never thought anything was good. But God has allowed certain people to come into my life that showed me what a healthy father-daughter relationship should look like.
Was that painful to realize that you had lost that healthy father-daughter relationship?
I never pondered about it. I never focused on it. It only became a burden to me after I lost my brother.
Explain.
My brother, January 3rd, 2016.
2016.
Yeah, he was shot. He was murdered. He was shot in his car, with his wife in the car, with my brother in the car, on his way home from being out. And he was shot in the head.
So here you are being incested by your dad, and now your brother is murdered. I mean, that's a mountain of pain coming into a kid's heart. How did you survive, sister?
I had work to keep me distracted. Yeah. And the depression came about, and with the help of you, I'm learning my triggers. And I think when I can't control or have power over a situation, my mind can wrap around it on how to figure it out. And so everything, every hurt comes in that place whilst I'm trying to figure it out. But I can figure it out because it's something I can't solve.
Or talk about.
Yeah.
So you're saying there are people in Nassau and the Bahamas right now living like this, kids.
Yeah.
Going through incest, abuse, but they're condemned to secrecy.
Yeah.
They're actually dying inside but trying to live outside. How does a child do that?
If they don't have distractions, it could eat them alive. But first, they have to know that what is happening to them is something that's bad. If it's someone they trust, and that person breaks their trust and goes into their personal space and harms them, and without education and understanding that that shouldn't happen, they wouldn't know that it's bad.
So you say we can get used to anything?
If you don't think it's bad, Dr. Allen, you have to first know that the act is happening to you is bad.
And your mom had no clue?
No, she didn't. I recall we would have been on break on school, and it was one night, I don't know what happened, but she decided to follow him. And how the house is set up, the younger kids live on the side of the house, and the boys live on the same side as where my mom and dad room is situated, and the older girls lived on the other side of the house. So the house was a big house, and the older girls shared a room. We had bunk beds, and that night she decided to follow him, and she was like, "What are you doing? What's happening there?" And so and he said that he was only checking on us. So the next morning, we went into a room and we started talking, and I decided that this is my time. I will tell her what's happening to her and to me, and once I tell her, we'll be able to move and move on. And when I decided, when she asked my dad, he said, nothing happened, nothing happened. And then she asked me, and I told her what was happening. And then I don't know if she could digest what I said. And by the time we left the room, it was like I said nothing happened. But as I recall and as I reflect that over the years, up until that point, I don't recall my dad ever being abusive, or he never showed it to us. But as we grew older, and from that point on, his abuse and his power towards my mom got really bad, to the point that when I went to college, I started seeking counseling because I needed to deal with and get myself sorted out. And my concern was, I'm not home, so my concern was the siblings I left behind. And thinking that what happened to me may be happening to them.
So you said, I'm already the sacrificial lamb. It's happened to me. So I can't stop myself, I can't get healed, but maybe I can prevent my sisters from having this experience.
Yeah.
Did you?
I remember one, and this is before, I remember, and this is before I went to college actually, I remember one Christmas, we were having family over for Christmas dinner, and I happened to be in my bedroom that I shared with my sisters, and I was coming out and I saw my dad and I saw one of my sisters and him going into a room, and I followed them and they had the door closed, and I knocked on that door until he opened it, and I told him, I said, if you ever, and I didn't use nice words, if you
How old were you?
I might have been between junior high to senior high. I might have been going in the 10th grade. So I would have been
about... You knocked on that door
until
you knew something was going on in there.
I know something was about to happen. Say? I told him, if he ever touches my sisters or anyone, I would kill him.
Wow.
I said, you can have me, but do not touch them.
Wait. You would kill him, but leave my sister alone. You can have me, but don't touch her. We're going to take a break and be right back.